Getting out of the state of being romantically obsessed with someone else is really, really difficult. Sometimes romantic obsession is called limerence, and it's an extreme amount of infatuation that you have for someone else, but not just anybody, someone that you can't have. Limerence doesn't exist when you can actually have the person. It only exists when you are completely obsessed, infatuated, and in love. I'll let you know later why I put that in quotation, but with someone that either is emotionally unavailable, doesn't treat you well, maybe someone you don't even know, but it's a fantasy. In this video, I'm going to help you with getting out of this state of limerence, and I'm also going to help you understand what it is that limerence is helping you with and what you need to face in order to finally get rid of it. The first thing you have to do to get rid of limerence and let go of this romantic obsession is to acknowledge and admit what it actually is. It's a fantasy. It's not based in reality. You don't actually have a good relationship with this person. This person is actually not reciprocating your love and affection and interest in them. So awareness is the first step, because we view limerence as love addiction. There's actually such a thing as Love Addicts Anonymous, and people who go there, they often have this romantic obsession, limerence, and they've been living with this for years and years and years. So you have to treat your obsession as an addiction. And the first step to recovery is admitting that you have a problem, right? So you need to admit that you have limerence for somebody and it's beyond your control. Okay? It's a fantasy. It's not actually you being in a solid, great, healthy relationship with this other person, because if you were, you wouldn't be limerent for them anymore. They wouldn't be your limerent object. You would start feeling limerent for someone else that you can't have. So what often happens for people who use limerence as an escape from reality is that if they actually do end up getting this person who they've been romantically obsessed with, then they fall out of love with that person and they just find another one. They'll start fantasizing about an ex, about a celebrity, about someone at work who's married, just someone who's unavailable, because the unavailability is a key element. The person has to be able to be put on a pedestal, and when you're actually living with somebody and in a relationship with them, you can't keep them on that pedestal because you see them day to day. You see that they have flaws. You see that they go to the toilet. You see that they are annoying sometimes. They have bad breath in the morning. And this idealization cannot continue. So recognizing this helps you cut ties with the fantasy. Then, of course, you have to cut ties with the person. If it's a person who is in your life, limit or completely disconnect from them. Limit the contact as much as possible. Sometimes it's not possible to limit contact if you work with the person or they're your neighbor or something like that. But if you can, just avoid them at all cost. Treat it as if you have an addiction. If you were addicted to alcohol and you wanted to quit and be sober, you wouldn't go to the bar every Friday to just have one beer or just have one beer here and there. You wouldn't, right? Because you know that it would mean relapse. It's the same here. You can't just meet up with this person or see them once in a while and expect yourself to detach and be sober and be able to kick this addiction. So this means unfollowing them, blocking them, explain to them that you can't be friends anymore if you're limerent on a friend. For some people, it even helps to confront the person, because here's the interesting thing. People who are romantically obsessed like this, they often don't tell the people that they're obsessed with that they are obsessed, because that would subconsciously, they know that that would ruin the fantasy. So they don't end up sharing their feelings with the person. And sometimes that can be very sobering to do, because then reality hits and it's like, boom, okay, fantasy is gone. But that's not always something that works, or what I would recommend. I would recommend start with just avoiding them. Just stop the contact as much as you possibly can. And it's not just about avoiding contact. It's also about you setting emotional boundaries for yourself. Don't allow yourself to obsess over them. Distract yourself. Put your energy into other things. Don't allow yourself to check their Insta or their TikTok, whatever, every day. Don't sit there at home listening to romantic songs and look at pictures of them. Just limit yourself emotionally as well. So you can shift the focus to the reality of your connection instead of the fantasy of what could be with this person in order to help you detach. So write down the facts of your actual connection, not what you imagine could happen in the future, or not like one great night you had together 3 years ago. No, the facts of the situation as it is right here, right now. It'll be good for you to see that on paper because it's probably not living up to the fantasy in your head, the reality of the situation right now. I mean, I can promise you it's not. Fantasy isn't the same as reality, and this connection is most likely more in your head than out there. So you probably won't be able to gather that many facts that this person is actually in love with you or reciprocating. And you know what? Signs from the universe, symbols, this and that doesn't count. I'm a spiritual person myself, but when it comes to limerence, looking for signs is often a very destructive way of keeping the hope alive. You know, someone posted something on social media. Oh, that was probably secretly for me. No, you know what? It wasn't. If the person wants to be with you, they will make it known. They will be very clear about it, and you won't have to walk around analyzing signs and symbols for you to get that message. And then you should really start to challenge your own thoughts when you idealize this person. Maybe you don't have enough information about them to know that you're idealizing them, so it can be difficult, but I promise you they're a whole person with flaws. And then you may think, oh, but I would accept all their flaws. It's all fine, it's all good, but you're not with this person. They're unavailable, either emotionally, physically, they're married to someone else, they're with somebody else, they don't want to be with you, they're just your friend, they friend-zoned you. Maybe you don't even know them, like I said. So regardless, they're not with you. They're not with you. And if they wanted to be with you, they would be with you. So let it go. You have to understand that this obsession is distracting you from your own life, and people can completely ruin their lives when they are in this limerent state because it becomes sort of the most important thing in the world. More important than their job, spending money, whatever. It's just this obsession is everything. Just like an addiction completely takes over your life, limerence takes over your life. Romantic obsession takes over your life. So you should really start looking at what are you trying to distract yourself from? Why do you need this? Why do you need this hit of good loving feelings to feel good in your day-to-day life? What are you distracting yourself from? Are you unhappy? If you're suffering from this, there are areas of your life, and maybe many areas of your life where you're not feeling fulfilled or happy, because if you were, you wouldn't be prone to this type of romantic obsession. So look very honestly at your life, and this can be so painful because limerence has sort of been clouding everything, and you haven't had to face your own trauma, your own drama, your own failures, as long as you were just obsessed with getting this person, and you think that getting them would fix all your problems and fix everything. So it's very painful to look at what you're not happy with in your life, but I always say the best cure for this type of limerence is create a life that you don't need to escape from, because limerence, like any other addiction, is an escape. So create a life you don't need to escape from. I repeat it in all my videos about limerence because it's really the key. And that also means you redirect your emotional energy to yourself. You start new hobbies. What have you always wanted to do? Do you have personal goals you want to reach? How are your friendships? Do you have true connections in your friendships? Or is that an area of your life that you need to work on? Because you know what? Friendships, while they're not always for life, they usually can outlast many relationships in your life, and they can really help fill that void that you've been trying to fill by just obsessing about someone you can't have. Face yourself. Are you emotionally avoidant? People who do have limerence, they're emotionally avoidant most of the time because it's a way of having romance without actually risking anything, without actually having the person, without actually confronting them. So you can still live in that movie set, but you don't actually get to take the same type of risks that real relationships involve. So yeah, bring all your energy back to you. Start creating a life that you don't need to escape from. What was limerence giving you? Was it giving you a sense of excitement, fun, maybe, a feeling of being seen, heard, intimacy? What was it giving you? Whatever limerence was giving you, you now have to create in reality for yourself in your life. It'll be step by step, and that's okay. And you might feel depressed during your withdrawal symptoms because, yes, it's an addiction, and yes, there will be withdrawal symptoms. So during the phase of withdrawal symptoms, you probably will feel sad, depressed, lonely, but you have to face those feelings because they will give you energy to start connecting with real people out in the real world and start facing these problems in your life that you have been avoiding. It's also really important during all of this that you have a lot of self-compassion. Don't be angry at yourself or blame yourself or shame yourself for being limerent and being prone to this type of fantasy thinking, because the reason why you are prone to this is not your fault. It really isn't. There's always a reason why people do what they do, and I'm sure you have been through some kind of trauma or neglect early on in your life or later on in your life that has made it so that you've created this ability to see love where there really isn't much love. Because that's what limerence is. So if you, for example, have a huge abandonment wound in your life, then you as a kid developed the ability to see love even though there was abandonment. So yeah, my mom abandoned me, my dad abandoned me, either emotionally or physically even. But they love me and they always, they would always be there for me. Would they? I'm not questioning whether your parents, they probably did the best they could, and I'm sure they had their problems, but somehow you were in a very vulnerable situation where in order to survive psychologically, mentally, you had to pretend that something was a way that it really wasn't in reality, and that's where the fantasy-prone thinking starts. So it's not your fault. You should probably start working on some of those things and clearing up the past. You should talk to a therapist. You're welcome to reach out to me. I am not a therapist. I am a coach. I'm a relationship coach. There's a link in the description below. Start working through some of this stuff, because once you release that and figure out where everything comes from and start looking forward to create a new and better life for yourself, you're going to feel a whole lot better and you're not going to need this limerence anymore. Limerence is filling out a void, an emotional need that you have. And so you need to find a way to get those needs met in another way. And for example, let's say some people, like I said, some people are already in a relationship and they're limerent for someone else. So those people, if that's you, I would say try connecting with your partner, because being in limerence is a way for you to avoid emotional intimacy with the person that you're actually with, the person who's right there ready, probably ready to love you and be there for you and connect with you if you just open up. It's a typical avoidance strategy. So try challenging yourself in these ways. While you go through this process, try to learn how to manage your withdrawal symptoms. Some people even report to me that when they stop these behaviors, they feel even physical withdrawal symptoms. They feel restless, they feel antsy, and something like practicing mindfulness can be really helpful. I have a great breathwork exercise that helps you calm down your nervous system. I'll link to it up here. It really works. I use it myself. I use it with so many of my clients, and just try it out for yourself and see how you feel after completing. I think it's a 15-minute video. See how you feel after completing this exercise. I bet you'll feel better. So do exercise, go on walks, connect with your friends, try to find ways to deal with both the physical withdrawal symptoms, the nervousness, the antsiness, and also the emotional, of course, the loneliness. Just know that you're not going to feel like this forever. It's just like a breakup. It hurts a lot in the beginning. While you're withdrawing from this, drug, and then it feels better and better and easier and easier and easier and easier and easier the more you start rebuilding your own life, facing your own fears, facing your own traumas, and eventually you'll get so strong and your self-esteem will be so good that you won't even want to look back. I can tell you a personal story. I myself realized not that long ago, I think maybe a couple of years ago, I realized that I have been using limerence ever since I was a little girl to get me through troubling times, to give me a feeling of happiness and excitement in life. I would always have someone, like even when I was a kid, like there would be someone that I would be fantasizing about and imagining a great future with, the Prince Charming type of fantasy. And I had it to a degree that I would say it was unhealthy because it was very all-consuming for me. And I can see now, it was a way for me to escape from reality. Like, for example, there was like a whole year that I spent being pen pals with a guy, I think I was 13 or something like that, a guy that I met from Russia, and I met him like 2 times for like 2 hours or something like that because we were both singing in a choir and we were at the Olympics in US. The details of the story isn't so important, but anyway, maybe I was 14. But anyway, just that short meeting, and we took like 1 photo together or something like that. And then we sent, I think, 3 letters back and forth. And yeah, they were sweet letters. We were young, like it was very innocent, but I obsessed about this guy for a year, maybe even a year and a half, more than a year. And it was a pattern. If it wasn't him, then it was someone else that I met on a vacation. And I would just obsess and fantasize about love and a future and all these kinds of things. And I never really knew these boys. I was a kid, and even when I was younger, very, very innocent. But it would always be someone that I couldn't really have. It wouldn't be like the boy from my class, who could just be my boyfriend. And I mean, I had tons of boyfriends as well when I was young, innocent kind of boyfriends. You hold hands and maybe you write a note saying, do you want to be my girlfriend? Yes, no, that type of thing. But I was just that whole thing. It was just my whole world. And, it was an easy escape for me. It was easy for me to find a boyfriend, but I would never be limerent on my boyfriends. I would always be limerent for somebody else. And so this pattern, it actually led into my adulthood, and I can just see how this has just kept going on and on and on and on, and it's just been very unhealthy. So this is sort of a journey that I've had to go on myself, and I've had to face a lot of things within myself to sort of kick this type of addiction. And it was such an eye-opener for me, and also sort of felt pretty awful when I realized it, because I've always considered myself to be a romantic, and now I'm really questioning that as well. Now I'm questioning if I'm actually a romantic or if I've just been prone to limerence my whole life. So I'm trying not to be a romantic in that way anymore, because that's very sobering for me. I try to really understand that whatever I've experienced in terms of limerence in the past has been due to the fact that I had to develop these skills early on in my life. So you're not alone. And you know what? I work with tons of clients who have these experiences as well. Like I said, you're welcome to reach out to me through the link below in the description. If you're suffering from this, just know that there's absolutely a way that you can get through it. It is a journey, and it doesn't just switch overnight, but accepting that you have a problem is definitely the first step, and then treating it like an addiction all the way will get you through this. I hope this video was helpful. If you liked it, please like the video, subscribe to my channel, and turn on notifications. That helps me out so much so I can keep on making all this free content for you guys. I look forward to seeing you again soon.